This is gonna be fun today because
Yes.
today is August 31st.
Wawa nui to everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Blackbird Oracle. Which one is it actually? I forgot to
Oh
count.
yeah, I did come up with the title. But it
You
is
did come up
number
with the title.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Of course, we do our cheeky play with the English language.
Yeah.
But I'll share it to you in a moment. So this is gonna
Yeah.
be funny because everybody's watching this. They already know what the title is, but you don't.
No, that's true.
This
I
this
don't.
is this like hilarious quantum shenanigans.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
our first episode aired the last
November.
last Sunday
Or was
of
it October?
October.
Oh, that's
It
right.
was the last Sunday of October after we all got home from Burning Mask in Vancouver. So that puts
10th
us
episode.
August. Yeah, that this is our 10th episode.
Wow.
Fun.
We're fast approaching our anniversary.
Yeah.
And I already have an idea for a little bit of a cheeky special play for that, but we're going to speak about that at another point. And probably we're going to announce this in the next episode, but
Yeah.
I have a good idea. So, yeah, welcome to everybody who is watching first recording session of the Blackbird Oracle. Very excited for this one. As I was setting up for the recording and I was sitting down, I really got this feeling of something new is going to happen. I don't know what, but I felt like sharing this right at the beginning. I was just sitting down. I'm like, there's new energies coming in. And actually, I'm also having look at these cards. Like, this is a whole set of cards that I've not yet used before. Yeah, and it was the first time that they were like, we want to come in. And there's probably a few codes in there that I don't even remember the meaning of, like right out of the top of my head, because there's so many codes, right? But this is a whole stack of cards. I think I created them a year ago or something, but I've not yet used them in a reading. I think I've only used them one time. But it's the first time that they're coming into a live show.
Are they the ones that were screaming at you? Pick me! Pick me!
Yes, they were actually screaming at me like you can no longer not include us. Yeah, there's powerful codes in here like very powerful Lemurian archetypes like Ma'au or Feke Feke, and a few of the other celestials are in there as well, like Kata'au or Firo. So it's going to be interesting.
This is going to be fun. So, do we want to start with announcements? Let's do announcements of shenanigans that are going on in our lives before we get into the reading. What do you have going on?
I actually have going on the next meeting of my weaving circle. So this is something that I've started, like a monthly event that's going to take place always on the portal or gateway energies. If we look at, the coding of the numbers. So always on the according day to the month. So this time around, because it's the 4th month in the Lemurian calendar, in the Wataka, we are going to have this on the 4th of September.
That's a week. Well, this recording that we're doing right now is on the 27th, so it's a week from now. Oh, cool.
Tomorrow, a week from now. It's awful.
Yeah.
You know what's so interesting? These portal days, because I've looked at how they play out throughout the year, and it's always either on a Sunday or on a Thursday. You can't make this stuff up, right? It's like, it's always every other month, it's on the Sunday or the Thursday.
And this is just within the Lemurian light calendar year. Okay, yeah, that's so funny because we've talked about this here before, and I'll bring it up briefly. There's something to the structure of this particular Lemurian light year. And for those of you that are newer here and you don't know what we mean by the Lemurian light year, we look at the beginning of the year as June as opposed to January, and it's a few months ahead. So we're 3 months into 2026 as of today. That's what I'm getting at. And there is something very, very unique and powerful about this past June, because we also look at things in a very balanced and structured way. Each month is meant to start on a Sunday. Each month is meant in that light cycle for each of the motu is only supposed to be 28 days, and the motu are the birth signs. So June, July, August, they're each only supposed to have 28 days. And there is another period of Mauta would call it a 7-day massage, is what he would refer to that rest period between the seasons. So there is a 13-month structure to it. And this past Gregorian June started on a Sunday. Our Lemurian New Year started on the Gregorian Sunday of the 1st. So June, which is a big pop-off moment, is where the birthing happens, where the child comes from and comes into the form. That was a pretty big deal. And there is a lot of weaving and other things going on in the background between these two systems. And this is the first time Mauta first brought this calendar system through. It was the Gregorian 2019. It was March of that year. And I found him at the end of that year. And he first launched the calendar and had the print calendar out at that point. And I went back through the previous years to see, what do the Junes look like? None of the Junes started on a Sunday until 3 months ago.
Yeah,
So there's
interesting.
like this gradual buildup and transition now that we're bringing more of this stuff through.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because we're now also approaching that shift from out of the first season of the year, and we're now entering the second season of the year, right?
Yeah.
As we're approaching this new motu, Namu motu, or Ina Ep. We can also call it Ina Ep.
The dove.
Yeah.
Yes, that one is the dove, my loves.
And so it's no surprise that I was feeling new energy. And yes, of course, the cards were screaming at me, but then there was also, okay, something's shifting, because for me personally, I could observe that there was like an ongoing unfolding of the energies happening in June, July, and August. And now August was quite interesting for me personally.
Me as well.
But yeah, so back to the events.
Yes.
Because this was where we started this. So this so-called weaving circle, the idea of it is just to come together, and I always provide a little bit of a journey or a little bit of an experience, a moment where we can just come together and remember and tune into the potentialities of the motu, the gateway. So I really feel that these moments are particularly potential, of course, and that it's a great moment for us to align our energetic system with that gateway and with the motu and the celestials, and then to open our heart space to receive Wairua more deeply. And so we already had one circle last on the 3rd of August, and I really felt it was really beautiful and had great potentials. And I'm so excited for the next one because it's going to be different than the first one. So I already have like lots of ideas floating in there, and I'm also going to see what Namu has to say in order to what it wants me to bring in. So yeah, that's one thing. And then also I feel it might be a good moment for me to share, because maybe the next episode is going to be a little bit too late, but I'm going to be again traveling. I'm going to do vacation for myself. I'm going to visit one of my oldest friend who lives in Norway. But because it's me, and because I'm a Huna, and because I'm Kahasahi, I'm always going to create opportunities for Hunas to be together. And I'm actually going to be visiting Stargate number 18, and I'm going to do some work there for the land and the Stargate. It already communicated a little bit to me what it is calling for. And so whomever would like to be part of that, everyone is always invited. If you are interested in any of that, you can reach out to HOH, or you can reach out to me personally, and we can see how that fits in. But yeah, that's going to be at the beginning of October. So I think I'm going to be there. It's not fully fixed, but I'm going to leave from Bergen, I think, on the 19th of October. So the week before, I'm going to be open to do some, let's say, Huna shenanigans.
Yes.
I'm probably going to have like a few spots that I'm going to be visiting, and not every of those spots are going to be like open for everybody to join, because some of them are actually a little bit more personal. But yeah, I think it's going to be beautiful, and I'm very excited to return there, because it was the first Stargate that I visited back in 2022 during the Burning Mask tour, and we had such an incredible stay there, and it's gonna be, I think it's going to be a very healing moment for me to be there and to just share the energies there again, in terms of the wairua that this place holds for me personally. And because I will be coming there after I've just allowed myself some, let's say, soul rest with my oldest friend and his family, I'm going to probably be very well recharged. Norway is a very, very special place in my heart. And for everybody who's probably visited, they will understand what I mean, because it has such a unique frequency. And it's no surprise now that I know it's of the upper heart frequency. It's no surprise to me now, but it's already been 4 years, like a place for me to just recharge. And already back in January, when I was speaking to my friend, I said to him, I can't wait to be with you. And now this time is finally approaching. And I'll be flying there late September. So, and it's going to be a well-deserved break. Yeah. So that's it from me. And now to you, you have lots of exciting things to share, and I can't wait to hear you speak about it.
Oh my gosh, I've been retiring things and then doing other things.
Yeah.
So the first thing I retired was the full birth chart session. So I did that for 2 years. Quite honestly, my voice was over it, was not very happy with doing that repeatedly, because it is a lot of information. Many people who come to us are completely new, and I love teaching about this stuff, but just to do it so repeatedly, was my body was saying, we got to do something different here. But what I realized, those 2 years gave me what I needed to pivot over to, you download your birth chart whenever you're ready to get it. And I still have to make it manually, but I get it to you within 7 days. To give myself time to get in there and get it done. But you get a self-guided PDF with it. It's this very much turtle medicine thing that I'm doing, where I'm not going to give all of the information up front. I also don't want to overwhelm people, because this is a lot that we talk about. There's so many layers and how it interconnects to the zodiac, and that self-guided system. It's really how Turtle Mother is. You go lay your hat and leave. You're not there when the kids are born. They go figure it out themselves, because they have the map. They know how to do it. So I've provided the map. And then last week, I realized, you know what? I could finally make my course. There were a lot of questions that came up in the beginning, and one of them was talking about making this into a course. It's like, we're not at that point yet, because I'm still getting the wairua coming in for myself as I'm doing these sessions, and I am so incredibly grateful for everybody who came and found me in those 2 years and sat with me in those sessions, so I can confirm these things and receive their medicine to even make this happen. So this course, it's basically me in a birth chart session, but I'm talking about all the motu. I cannot do that in a simple birth chart session, because these videos,
it's too much.
it averages about 13 minutes. I'm
Yeah.
not done recording everything. It's on drip content. It gives me space to get everything recorded, so I'm not rushing, and I'm still able to get the information out for the students who are ready for it. But it's still it's so much. You're just talking about the Mutu, the like, what are the 2 overlapping zodiacs? I do talk about the Kaha alignment.
Mm.
I talk about the like, where is it located on the earth, which I do have a free map on my website. So Kahasi actually mentioned the higher heart frequency. That
Mm.
is Hea the hair. That's also the January birth sign. And we look at Scandinavia as being the physical location of that energy. So that's what she meant when she said that. And if
Yeah.
you want to see it for yourself, we have all of our links and everything in the description, where you can go to the 12 continents button and you can go look at it for yourself and see where everybody's sitting and see the kaha, or the chakra color system. It'll be really easy to understand visually.
Yeah.
Um, but I launched the course. The first student was a Honu.
Of course.
Not
No
surprised.
coincidence. No,
Not
not at
surprised.
all.
Not at all. That was so
Beautiful.
funny. Um, But I'm working on that. I got a lot of the modules recorded already. I have others that I can do later this week. It's a lot of fun and it's easy. It's so easy for me to just fly right through this because I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
It's kind of my shtick with the pattern recognition.
Yeah, and it's really good, because I've just been through my first course, which was a live group, right? And we just talked about this before we started the recording, and to actually see, okay, it's actually good to turn it into something that's recorded, because in that way
Mhm.
you just have it there, right? You have the
Yeah.
information there, and you have it in a way, kind of, in a great package. It's saved, and
Mhm.
you can make it really clean and easy, simple, straightforward, and people can go through it in their own way. So
Yeah.
already halfway through my course, even, I really loved doing it live as well. I learned so much throughout this whole moment. And also working with the participants, it was great. But I already recognized for myself, I'm not going to do this over and over again. I can't do this. This is taking too much energy from me. And so doing it in a recorded version is so great, because it gives everyone some liberty, right? And
Mhm.
also it gives you liberty to then focus your brain on other things,
Yeah.
which I know your brain is working on other stuff too. And
Yes.
this is where we need to, at some point we need to dump this stuff out somewhere, so that we make space for exploring new stuff. And
Yeah.
I know we've been working together quite closely with our stuff for over 3 years now. And so I know that, your brain is working on things just in the way that my brain is working on things. And
Mhm.
it's once it's time, it's time. And it's quite incredible, yeah, that you just jumped right in. And it's so interesting, because I really feel that this year somehow feels different. I don't know if we would have done this the year before, right?
No,
And I
absolutely
also
not.
I also think that actually this show, because I remember how all of this came to be, right?
Mhm.
The two of us, we talked with Mauta, and we said, you gotta cut back on the Huna flesh. That you're doing too much. You're exhausting yourself. You gotta take space for
And my
yourself, right?
body was feeling it too, guys. Like, I love being on here, I love doing the live stuff, but just thinking about doing it every Sunday, my body was like, "No, I wanna rest." And I think it was a
Yeah.
combination of my body and also feeling his frequency.
Yeah. And but he needed a little bit of
A nudge.
how yeah, a nudge, and we needed to come somehow kind of talk him into taking a break. And I mean,
Mhm,
considering that's quite intense, right? And
mhm,
I remember that us two coming forward and me saying, well, look at it this way. We
mhm.
can make this a beautiful opportunity, because he just wanted stuff to happen on the channel, right? You
Yeah,
remember?
he's been
And
talking about that for a minute of, like, what does he want to do with the
yeah,
expandedness of the House of Huna? Because there was a lot more to come in.
And with us saying it is enough that you do a show once a month, he said, but I still want something happening on the other Sundays. And so this was the moment where we said, okay, we're going to show up for this. And this is when the Blackbird Oracle was born, right?
Yeah.
And we jumped into it. And I really feel that this show kind of helped us to get comfortable with that, to just say, okay, we're just going to take it as it comes, and just going to jump in, and we're going to do it. And it's so incredible to hear you talk about your course and how you're creating it and how you're flowing with it, because that's beautiful. Because I mean, you know me and how much I've been thinking about certain things that I want to put into a course myself.
Yeah.
And I can feel my brain like, I just want to make it to this point where I feel like now I've got it. But this is never what you're going to reach. You got to make a decision, and then you got to move on it, and then everything will come together, right? This is how it happened for my last course. Once I made the decision and I gave myself like a deadline, so to say, I did the work and stuff came together, and all the questions that were still there got answered. And so I think it's great. And also I really love how encouraging you speak about this in terms for others, like that you just encourage others to do the same.
Yeah,
which I think is exactly what we need.
Yeah, we all have our specialities, the things that are we're really, really good at, and there's an opportunity to offer that. That's the caca medicine. You know, I'm messing around on TikTok now and working on getting that built out so the teachings can be shared in a more expanded way, and in just doing random lives to get used to the platform, because it's a little bit different than this. There is just, like, the way it's set up, and there's all of these other things popping up is an entirely different thing. But it's also kinda easier a little bit in a different way where, we're recording this because we know doing these lives, it takes a lot of energy, and we have to set aside the time for that. TikTok can be a little bit different. At least that's what I'm picking up on so far. I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about how you are now on TikTok and the caca medicine and something
Yes,
like
the
that.
caca medicine. Like there are people that will have lives that have a lot of followers that are on there for engagement purposes, and they're teaching how to utilize the platform because it's an AI algorithm, and how to get yourself out there more, how to build your community by like going and interacting with these other lives and following each other. And you have to have a certain number of people to even go live. You have to have a certain number of people as your followers to get a creator account and like monetization and all of this other stuff. I'm like, this is very much like the caca medicine, because the caca, it is the brotherhood and sisterhood, and it is communication. It is the communication of resources. Since I'm the one speaking, I'll use myself as the example. I have the resources of knowledge of the Motu and the birth chart, because this is what I've been doing the past 2.5 years. And I have it available to share for those who are looking for it. So I got to go out there and share it. And then it also works the other way, because like Kahasa He, and then all of our other Hunas here, and everybody else that is within the extended community, it's the same thing. Like, we have something to offer. We have to put ourselves out there. So people who are looking for us can find us.
And I mean, every human has, right? Doesn't matter if they're into this stuff or not. But if we look at it like every living thing, which means everything that is surrounding us, even the gear that we're using right now, right? They have stuff to offer. And this is where us humans come in with our medicine. And so I really think it's incredible that you're just doing it. It's incredible. I love it.
Stuff got to get done, man.
Yes. And on that note, I would love to hear what you have. I see it now up there. I saw the title.
I wrote a note that I was going to tell you at the end, just to see, okay, what comes up in the reading.
No, I want to put it. You put it up there in the title for the recording session. So I've just spotted, but it took me a while to actually spot that.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
we're like 27 minutes into a recording and you
Yeah.
just
Yeah, who can, yeah, there's like a German saying where you say, wer lesen kann, ist klar im Vorteil. It's like, who can read is clearly, how can you say that? In the goods, or is like, I don't know how to say it, but like, it's just like, yeah, it's like a fun thing that we sometimes use when you just don't spot something super obvious that's staring you in the face. It's like a little bit of a mockery, but yeah, let's dive into the geometry.
Let me see how this works. I don't know if I've used this particular option here on StreamYard where I just load the PDF instead of screen sharing it. Let's see what it does. I don't know if I'll be able to point to things. Let's see. You guys are going to find out in real time. Technical shenanigans. Okay. Do we see? No, we don't see. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm going to pivot. Share my... This is what we do here at the House of Huna. All right. Let me shift my window. Okay.
There she is.
Yes, the mother of all changes. So that is, as you guys are watching this on our normal time slot, it is Sunday, August the 31st. And this is the energy of the 31st. Now, I'll offer the reminder when I create these, the time stamp that I use is 11:11 a.m. New Zealand time. So I do have a tiny note there that North America will likely feel this on Saturday, the 30th, not the 29th, it's 30th. Because New Zealand is ahead of us, and we do recognize that London is not where the day starts on the planet. It's actually New Zealand on the other side of the world. So this was something that was shared as a part of Ma'uta's teachings, and that is why I approach it in this way. What is the structure of the light when it first enters the planet, and what are the Mutu doing? What is the story that they're telling? And this was called the Mother of All Changes by Ma'uta. It was first seen right after his 60th birthday.
Yes, I remember, and I remember that we did ceremony for this when it first showed up.
Yeah.
It was quite an interesting ceremony.
And I was reminded as I looked at my notes, this was right before a Rothschild death. Do you remember one of the Rothschilds died in February of last year? And this particular geometry came up before that. There was a lot of cell phone outages that week. There was high profile hospitalizations. I'm not remembering offhand who it was. It was just major names.
A lot was going on,
yeah. So there's a potential. I'm not saying for sure what the heck is going to happen, but there might be a potential.
No, but I mean,
something.
There was already so much like communicated in the Wairua, and I remember there's actually a show, a live that Ma'uta did where we also talked about the ceremony. I don't know the title of it, but it probably was in the same month because I was still in Mexico, and we both came live and we talked about the pictures of the Toroa and how they kind of went multidimensional.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, the message that the gift would enter on the day of the celebrated one was very interesting. And I remember that when Ma'uta passed over, my brain went back to that moment, and I'm like, interesting, the gift enters on the celebrated one, the day of the celebrated one. And this, he passed over, he transitioned on the day of the celebrated one. And I couldn't, help but think like, okay, there's a connection here still, because I remember in the same month, there was also this other moment where I think it was about the changing of the quality of the energy. It was something to do with Kali Yuga. like the shifting of the ages, and where Mauta invited us to do a very specific ceremony.
Yeah,
And I
that one.
remember that him and I sat down, and this was before we did the two-headed snake mission, right? And we sat down and we just had like a very, very brief moment of ceremony, but it was very intense. And I remember he did a lot of stuff that I don't even can recall. He spoke a lot of codes that I don't even know what he spoke, but it was just like 5 minutes, but it was so charged. And that was also the moment where the sword of Akbalam came through, and where we knew, okay, we need to present the sword of Akbalam at the Stargate number 7. And yeah, so there was a lot happening. So a lot of change entered like right away. So yeah, and the mother of all changes ever since then was one of, like, I heard him speak this phrase so many times, also when we traveled over to Vancouver and all of that. It was really predominant in that last year of his.
Yeah, and it came up a number of times, and sometimes with these structures, they can be flipped the other way. So there are months that have come up where this whole structure is flipped upside down or right side up. This was the arrangement in the structure of the first one that ever came through from my time doing these geometries.
Do you remember if he named this in February, or if it was already before his birthday that he saw this geometry first and named it?
I'd have to see if I can look at the time and the date of the file. When we did that show where I showed the geometries, I already had them created like a week or 2 maybe before, and I
it
showed
was
them to
already
him.
it already had that name, I remember, right?
No,
Did he name it live? No.
he named it right before the live. I first
Yeah.
found it right before that live,
Okay,
and that
okay.
was when he had named it when he first saw it. I was like, "Well, wow, that's the mother of all changes right there."
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So she's showing up again. It's been a moment, right?
I honestly don't remember the last time we saw her. I wanna say December. I feel like maybe December was in there because I remember there being geometries where there were 5, like, there's 5 points in this one layer,
Yeah.
and that's, like, almost Dragon Ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's borderline Dragon Ride energy just because of the amount of energy that's there. Um, and I remember there being geometries that had that 5 in December, but I don't remember offhand the last time we
No.
saw her. I'd have to
Okay.
go look.
But I just know it's been a moment for sure. And the other one is it a new one?
It is a new one!
Yeah, I
It
thought
is a
so.
new one. Yes, so this is the moment of Tapu. Tapu is the sacred moment of the equinox in this case.
Yeah.
And there's the, um Tapu and the He Tapu, depending on what side of the planet you're on.
Yeah.
And this is 6:19 AM New Zealand time. So for most of us, we're going to get hit with this Tapu energy on the 22nd on Monday.
But actually, I have to actually correct you with that, because the whole tapu and the heat tapu is not dependent on where it's still named the heat tapu, because the tonato ke wahu wahi, they remain the same, right? It's like fixed. So even though, like for some, they celebrate the heat tapu in spring, and some they celebrate it in fall, but it's still going to be called heat tapu, no matter the season. So because I was actually thinking about this, because it's interesting that is fixed, because with other things, right, they move, but these energies, they kind of like, it's like that. These energies are almost like our fixed stars, because Polaris, it doesn't move,
Right.
and they don't really move, so they stay the same. But what it actually reveals, and this is kind of like digging into what I was talking about in my 3 moon precession and Sundance course, because this is, in relations to the tapu energies, of course.
Mhm.
It's actually interesting because this already reveals that there is a continuum between these moments. So he and Ho, they have a sacred, a sacred relationship, and you can find both of them in each other. So even though you speak he, the Ho is still present within the he, right? And the other way around. Because in the moment you give something, the gift is still present, because you're giving it to somebody. It's not, the gift is still there. Doesn't matter if it's returning to source, or if it's returning, or if it's entering to the world. So it's just giving us an inclination of the intention and the focus that we should have. But if you think about, like, in our northern hemisphere, it makes a lot of sense because we harvest and we celebrate harvesting and all of that. But still, in that moment, we remember this seed, right? So it's like it's not really an entanglement. It's a continuum.
Yeah.
So it actually makes sense that they stay the same, because they are still omnipresent in a way. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that always confused me, trying to figure out how to even look at that. So
yeah, I get it, because a few things, there is structure within the Wataka, right? Even though the Wataka continuously moves and moves, yeah, but still there's structure that it moves around, and even that structure is also moving. But there are a few things that are, let's call them, fixed, because we need them in order to have orientation within the movement, right? And and this is, within the course for the sun and the moon, we looked a lot of at the relationship between intention and reflection, and this is exactly what you can actually see with these fixed points as well. And so it's very interesting. You continue, and I'm just gonna put on the light because it's getting darker here, and I was not thinking about that.
It is that time of year where it starts getting darker earlier in the day. So this is a newly discovered geometry. Now, it looks very similar to another one I had drawn up, but I realized as I was putting this together for the show, the one I had drawn up was actually for an incorrect time code, so I just had to throw that whole thing out. I thought I had a whole other tangent that I could go on, but nope, not this time. Now, as I usually do here, I show some of the placements of the motu. I wrote the word of the animal this time. And it's in yellow, so it's gonna stand out a little bit more. And I always just put a couple on there that just, there's something interesting going on here. Now, I haven't actually sat with the energy of September to see what the message is. I have my inclinations of what I saw.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be small on your screen, but I got my little pendulum today. My little brass Egyptian brass pendulum. Well, let's see what comes through. I don't have a fancy camera set up like a Hasahi, so sorry about that,
That's
guys.
fine.
Now, I did talk to this one, and I said, "What is your name?" Royal Child.
Oh, that's why you asked about that.
I asked about it earlier, so
Yeah.
when you reminded me of, some of the codes that you had coming through, like, "Whoa, that's gonna be fun because I'm gonna tell her in the recording why I even asked that question." This is
Yeah.
the Royal Child. Yes, as with everything, there's gonna be a Lemurian translation into the code, so I had inquired her brain about this earlier today. I don't know that we had fully figured out what it is, but we have a good idea. But anyway, before I go too far off into a tangent, what I wanna look blah, 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 what I what I want to look at, I'm gonna zoom in on the mother of all changes here.
Yeah.
butterfly, and hummingbird. We're in the beginning of the light cycle of September. But look at where the dove is. And this is not abnormal. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we won't always see a big prominence of a motu just because it's their light cycle. Just things shift around. They do what they do. But we have butterfly and hummingbird as the biggest energies. And for
So
those of
dove, so the dove is in the center there. So
It's
it's
in
in
the
the
center of the
sitting in the
Maita.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I even said, like, there's a total of 5 on this layer. I'm
yeah.
showing 2 of them. And I said, "Which one of you is supposed to sit in the middle?" Because there's other ones like Kopanui. Kopanui is in that layer, and sometimes I'm like, "Oh, Kopanui is supposed to go in the middle." Like, no, dove is in the middle of this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have dove in the middle of the Maita. We have the forest giraffe hanging out there, and that's part of the heart. That's one of the heart frequencies, along with the hair. We have turtle. This is the part of the body where we express the energies. This is the throat or the tingita.
Hmm.
So I wanted to point that out because that is the domain of speciality of the turtle. Because they all have alignments to the kaha. Turtle is aligned to this part of the body. And in the geometry, that's where the turtle is sitting. So there's like and I see this for myself because it's in my geometry, even though it's my motu, my birth sign. It's not big like some other hunas that are born in the turtle. Mine sits a little bit lower, but it's like the one who drives my canoe.
Mm.
And that's like one of the specialities of the turtle is the quantum navigator. So
Mm.
that with the other motu that sits there, it's like there's an adeptness, a swiftness in navigating things. So is that perhaps speaking to in this moment of this mother of all changes, whatever this energy is bringing with the potential that, we don't feel a bigness of the turtle energy like we have with the previous months, because turtle was one of the biggest energies since the beginning of this Gregorian year. I think even going back to December, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, the turtle was really prominent, but what
Yeah.
comes right away is, the turtle and the dove, they share a very sacred connection, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because they are guardians of the Ho and the He Tapu, and it almost feels as if now the dove is in a way kind of taking over that spot from the turtle, and now the dove is taking the navigation into its under its wings, so to say. And it really confirms what I was already feeling over the last weeks, because for some reason I was kind of tuned out from August. I was already very much tuned into the energies right at the beginning of the month, and then I could feel my energies shifting over and already very much looking over to Namu Motu. And I was feeling, okay, peace is entering. And now with seeing that the dove is sitting at the center of the Maita,
And it's in
it
the
really
internal.
confirms
Yeah.
what I was already feeling, that
Mhm.
there's a shift that's going to happen, and it's connected to the essence of peace, and especially eternal peace, where like the purification that I went through, it was really, I just surrendered. I was not even consciously going through processes, it was just, I was just allowing rest, and I was just surrendering to what is. And I found my peace with that. And I could just then witness the changes happen. And
Mhm.
and it feels as if now peace can really expand, maybe. And this was already what I was also feeling with the weaving circle, that there is a very, and just with a few things that I was noodling around with, some artwork and stuff, like the presence of the dove is entering now for, I don't know what reason, but there is a specific reason why it's now taking over, where I'm not saying that the turtle is not doing its job anymore, but it is as if the turtle is now giving a specific energy over to the Namu so that the Namu can continue the job, because now we are in the realms of where the Namu needs to take over, right?
Yes.
And where it's about guiding the energies through the door of fire.
Well, it's going to be funny going over to the other geometry and seeing where everybody's sitting. But before we do that, I just realized that there is a straight line here.
Yeah.
Now there are a full 12 points, but the ones that came out to say hi today, there's the hare, the dove, the turtle, and the hummingbird in a straight line. Now the hare, my first inclination, what hit my body was the feet and the legs of the hare.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom. Some of these geometries have a 0-point energy, which I'll talk about what that is in a moment for those of you that aren't too familiar with it. The 0-point energy does come up in the birth charts as well, and I do speak to that it's in the self-guided material, and it's also something that I talk to in a lot of the Motu modules, like what happens with the 0 energy of that particular animal. But we don't have that on this one. So I'm going to hold that for now. This bottom layer sits the hare, who has the strong legs to take a lot of energy and move it at quantum speeds. So it's sitting at the base. Or we could say this is the back of the starship or the back of the canoe. You can imagine like this little hare with his legs sticking out the back going whoop, and launching the whole thing forward at quantum speeds. And then you got the dove right in front of him. And then the turtle is right in front as the quantum navigator. And then I don't know what hummingbird and butterfly are doing at this point, but they're doing something. That being the mother of all changes, it has me very good suspicious about what the hell is that going to show us in the potentials. To see an arrangement like that, and where we have these really big energies of the butterfly of transformation, which every energy on here is challenging in different ways to us humans. The butterfly is about death, rebirth, and restructuring. It's transformation, literal cellular death and rebirth transformation. And in one of the energies within that, we recognize this sonar telepathics from the beyond. The sonar telepathics of the dolphin. I won't get too far into what that connection even means. Just saying there is something with the dolphin star nation and the sonar telepathic gift that they have, and that we also see that within the butterfly. As butterfly goes and flaps its wings, and it's sending out the messages. And it's really big change. It's such a gentle, tiny little creature. And I've seen so many of them lately outside. It's like big, orange ones get my attention. But there's a big medicine of transformation paired with a tiny voice from heaven that's not so tiny. So there, perhaps, I'll say it kind of literally the way I'm seeing it. Big transformative messages from the ancestors. Big transformative messages that are coming through the dream time. And my God, I'm already getting them in the dream time. So maybe that's what that's referring to. Because I've had a number of strange dreams. I've shared some of them with you. I had another one last night. Remind me later.
Me too.
If I don't, because I'm just going to share it today. That's all I'm going to say. And if there's any other ones that I think of that feel relevant, then I'll share those too. But going over to let's look at this one. Turtle and dove. They're both the big medicines of the tapu.
Interesting, yeah.
And turtle is leading the dove.
And it was, as I was saying, like it feels as if the turtle is giving over the medicine. There was also this picture coming in where it felt as if the dove is, maybe even the dove is sitting on top of the turtle, right? And the
perfect.
Dove, but then the energies, or let's just say, maybe the ancestors or the child that needs to travel through the door of fire is sitting like, if you imagine a swan, right, and you think of how the swan is having its little ducklings sitting right there between the wings, that's kind of like the image that I had, where the Namu is really taking these energies in a very gentle manner. And so it's interesting that the turtle is, of course, still there. Of course, turtle is going to see it through.
Yep. That's what we do. Yeah. So this is the tapu. The butterfly has shifted into the place of expression. So it's co-piloting what is being said, co-piloting what is being created. So there's a power of transformation in what we are creating in that moment. I can say it in that way. And then we have heron, forest, giraffe. This is a dragon ride geometry, y'all. There are 6 points in that layer. And 2 of them are the heart, the hare and the forest giraffe. And they're sitting there right in the middle of everything.
And the quantum navigator is ushering in the essence of peace, which is really interesting. So it really feels really like what we've just spoken about before, like this essence of peace really wants to be embraced and wants to be expanded in our heart space. And it feels as if the forest giraffe and the hare are really opening up our hearts for that. And for some reason, when I was looking at the line there in the Mother of All Changes, I don't know which movie it was, but isn't there this little bunny that's called Thumper that's always doing this?
Bambi. The movie is Bambi.
Yeah, and I was seeing that, and it's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And it's almost like as if it's like down there, the energies are really like,
let's go already.
Yeah,
I've been waiting this whole time.
It's been
30 years.
It's like this urgency.
Yeah.
Or like this excitement even.
Yeah.
And then I look over to the other one, and then all of a sudden it's like, and it feels as if the royal child geometry, it almost feels as if it's, I don't know why, but I need to say it. It almost feels as if it's going to drill itself into our heart space, and it's going to open our heart space in a very particular way. Because if I'm looking at the top of the geometry, I can really see how it's moving. And, you have these lines, and it's really sharp. And if you imagine it turning or like spiraling as you're looking at it, it's like it has a very particular vortex energy that comes in a very precise but gentle way, where it's like it's opening up, and then the expansion happens once we reach that dragon ride layer, right? And so it might be that there's going to be a moment around the tapu where we are invited to really ground ourselves and be aware of the dragon ride potential in the space. So what I can recommend with that is to go into practice, either to go into moving meditation, which means either you are going onto a walking meditation, or you're going into dance, like literal movement of the body. For the dragon masters, doing powata is really recommended. Or then
Qigong?
Sorry, yeah, of course, all of that, Qigong, whatever floats your boat, so to say. And on the other hand, for those who really feel more called to not move, then to be very much aware and go into meditation. But once you go into meditation, really focus your attention onto your kaha, and really try to align your kaha and bring in that energy of equality into your kaha system. That's what I've observed, again, with the 3 moon procession and the sun dance, because there is a sacred connection between kaha and haka. And for me, haka is in a way how we would express dragon ride in codes, because haka is the fire dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a sacred connection there. So whenever we have a dragon ride energy, that means there's a lot of source energy moving, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming for our energetic system. So in order for us to maintain equality and to move through it gracefully and to kind of be the dragon rider, right? We should be very much aware of our emotions and our mental thought patterns that can trigger emotions and things like that. So going into spiritual practice, either with kaha or haka, is very much recommended. And, you know, going into movement can really help you so much with, you know, working with those emotions rather than against them. So flowing with it is also what I get. And it's really interesting with this energy. I really feel that there's like this, it feels as if it's going to move right through us. And for some reason, I feel it's going to come it's not going to come from above or below. It's more like, I feel it coming like this. Maybe it's going to come from in front of us, or it's going to come through the back, but it feels as if it's going to move right through our heart space for some reason. Maybe it's going to be different for others. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But that's just what I'm getting.
Yeah. I'll offer the reminder for explaining the intensity of a dragon ride in terms of this layer of 6.
Yeah.
There are 6 motu, and each one has 2 kawa, 2 star medicines. That is a total of 18 separate and very powerful energies, and they're all in the internal layer. They're they're inside the trunk, as it were. They're inside like your rib cage. They're inside, like literally inside of the body. So this this can be a bit of an experience for the human, and this is precisely why Kahasi offered what to do in this moment. What are the options there, so you know what you're called to do, so you don't get caught too off guard, and you're all of a sudden you're like, why am I feeling so intense? Yeah.
And I mean, we move through a dragon ride each month, right? This is something that we talked to Mauta about as well, where he also observed that there's like each month, in the field of the world, we experience these energies and we move through it. And I mean, probably the women are going to be very much familiar with this. And everybody's maybe going to feel it a little bit different as well. So this is where it's so important that we train our awareness for ourselves to really be more aware of where we are in our own cycle. Not just speaking to the feminine cycle, but to everything is cycler, right? You can look at the day in a cycler way, and an hour even. And so it's that's really where all of that comes from. Just looking at things that way, and then seeing we are always going to move through waves, and it's actually not just one up and one down. There's like several waves within that. And so it's also up to you where you put your attention, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to focus on all the small waves, or if you're going to more focus on the bigger waves that move, let's say, at a slower pace. So that's really up to you where you put your attention.
So the last one that I want to speak to
is
the 0.
Yeah.
The 0 is an abundance of energy. Now, the 0 is called the 0 partially because there are no placements. When I look at the zodiac chart of that particular moment, there's no major planetary placements whatsoever in that motu. So in this case, there are no planetary placements in the hummingbird. That doesn't mean a hummingbird is missing. Hummingbird is tiny, not so tiny, if you have not experienced that already with them. And to have the 0 of something is very much a You have an abundance of direct from source of undistorted energy at your disposal of that particular medicine. Now,
Mm.
what do you do with it is the question. In the free will human experience with all of the things that we experience as children and how we end up getting programmed and then how we just move in an unconscious way. Um, this can be a really strong energy that shows up in a, we could say, in a distorted way. If it gets distorted, what happens? And the hummingbird is again, part of this part of the body. It's a part of the expression. So, um, having an abundance of this energy, it's again, there's that messages from the ancestors, but it's kind of flipped itself around. In one way, you could see that the hummingbird lowered itself in the structure, or it circled back around and it's at the back of the canoe. It's at
Mm.
the back of the ship, and it's bringing those messages, those threads from the other world, from the unseen, and there's an abundance of it.
It also gives me the picture of that energy is actually what makes the canoe or the canoe float in the first place. It's almost as if that energy is like creating that field of abundance so that the energies can move.
Mhm.
I don't know why that came, but one thing that I thought was very interesting that you just said and that just like clicked something in my brain was, what happens if that 0 point energy shows up distorted? And just
Mhm.
from my personal birth chart, I have the Namu Motu
In the
in the
0.
0.
So how
And
are you willing to
and
share that?
yes, because I just realized it.
Yes.
Mautu would always say, stop being so hard on yourself. Stop being
Mm.
so fucking hard on yourself. So how does this show up in my beingness in a distorted way? I'm always the one that's second guessing and doubting myself. I'm always kind of like not leaving myself be at peace, so to say,
What
because I'm
you're focused on others being at peace? Is that a way that it would
no,
come through for you? No?
well, no, in a way, because I'm being hard on myself through second guessing and then wanting to reassure myself, wanting to reassure here, and wanting to be very sure that this is actually how it is.
Mhm.
I'm not just leaving myself to be at peace and just trust, right? And
Mhm.
trust and so I'm robbing myself of my own peace through
That's
that. It's not
that yeah.
actually that I'm focusing outside or that I'm focused
Mhm.
on having others be at peace. But yeah, that's also something that I can see. It's also a pattern that I'm like more focused outward than inward. But you know, over the last months with everything that I went through, I really saw, no, I need to put like my own peace is the most like special and precious thing that I have. So I cannot have anybody disturb that anymore. But now actually realizing that I'm the one that's disturbing it the most, of course, because usually we do this stuff to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting when you just said that. It just like that
Yeah.
coin just dropped where I'm like, oh, like I'm being hard on myself. And that means the Namu, because I have an infinite abundance of doing that. Like I've done it, I'm so good at it. And now I can see I'm starting to shift that around and I'm actually starting to receive that other aspect more because I'm making space for it. Not
Mhm.
saying that I was not able to do that before, but it probably showed up more in the other way because I was just not aware of it. So I'm actually very grateful for this because I know that this is gonna do something with me, this realization right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, the infinite abundance of the hummingbird. Tiny,
Mm,
not so tiny. This
that's
is this
potent.
is this is the connection to, like I said, to the other world, to the other messages. So, if we were to really get into this as we close my portion of our
Yeah.
show today, it could be just focusing on the unseen so much and not what's the physical. And that could be like if it shows up in someone's birth chart, or even if somebody has a lot of a hummingbird, for instance, there with each of these energies, we have the challenges, and we have like if we go too far with it and get into the distortion, and that kind of gets into zodiac land a little bit with how they speak to things, and they sometimes like immediately go into the negative. And that's
Yeah.
it's a funny conversation we're having about Scorpio on social media right now, just for that exact reason. Um, the zero of the hummingbird, it's being more connected and focused on the messages that are coming in and not so much on the physical side is how I'm able to speak to it, at least at this moment.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's all of these messages that come through, but does it all of it have to be shared at the same time? Or because we also get to remember, we don't have to remember. I'm not going to tell people what to do, but
No,
we get to
we
remember
can.
that there is still quantum exchange happening even in this moment. There are things that I'm not physically saying with the flappy bits on my face and the hard enamel in my mouth with the tongue and all the wiggly bits. You are still receiving these messages from me, even though I'm not saying them. And I'm
Mm,
trusting that I can keep the message very structured in a way that makes sense in the human way. But there's still other bits that I know that are going to come through, and I don't have to say literally everything that I'm picking up on. And that could be the zero of the hummingbird, like the kryptonite side of that superpower of just going right in and not coming back out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very powerful, and it's also very much
Yeah.
connected with frequency of the child, right? The hummingbird has a very, I mean, all of the motus are infinitely connected to the frequency of the child because they are the child, right? The motu are representation of the child essence. So all of the motus share wisdom from the child, the eternal child. Let's just put it that way. But this one is particularly um, potent because of that tiny, not so tiny, and then also the tiny voice from heaven, right? It speaks with divine directive.
Yes.
And so there is something within those energies where it feels as if there is something coming in from that 0 point field. Let's just put it that way. It's like a specific frequency, a specific layer of the quantum field, which is this the electromagnetic 0 point. And there is something very particular coming in from that. And it comes in with the essence of the hummingbird. So with the essence of the tiny voice from heaven, which speaks with divine directive. And when it speaks, things happen. And so this was something that Muta shared with me in my seal, as this tiny voice is part of my given name. But yeah, I remember that he said it exactly like that in the seal. So the tiny voice from heaven speaks with divine directive, and when it speaks, things happen. And this goes back to what I shared right at the beginning. I sat down and I prepared, and I felt like something new is going to enter. So maybe we're going to receive something from that. But do you want to still play a little bit with your pendulum before you close off? What do you feel?
Let's see. It's saying yes.
Yeah, it's saying yes, I know.
Okay. So closing message, and I'm just doing this over my keyboard. Again, I don't have
Yeah.
the camera to show. Let's see. I don't know what the hell you're saying. Sometimes the distortions like to come through and muck with the connection. I see you, distortions. Uh, it was a distortion that came in, but as soon as I acknowledged it, and this happens sometimes where like I know the connection's really clear and then I get a little confused, like what the hell's going on? It's
Yeah.
just a distortion coming on. And as soon as I acknowledge it, then the energy clears up. Everything for everyone, everywhere, every day is
So we have that again. We already
that's
had that show up last month.
yeah.
We already had this coming in with the Huna Ina. You remember? where we spoke about the E4, and then we spoke about how can we speak about, like, how can we speak to that? How can we speak that blessing? And it was the Huna Ina. So it continues to be that beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything, everywhere, every time, for everyone.
Yes.
E equals MC cubed.
MC cubed, yes. Cubed.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to run a set of promos now.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
we are.
And you, while we're doing that, you can think of a number between 1 and 13.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
See you in a
we'll be
moment.
back.
And we're back. So I've already shuffled a few of the cards so that we can go through this quicker. Have you thought of a number?
7.
7. From left or right?
Right.
So we have the Tuatara Motu. Showing up, which is the big smile, the energy of the big smile. The smiling lizard or gecko. Interesting. Then we have the energy of the thread. Interesting, same color here of the thread. The energy of the unseen. The crone, which would be connected to Kakamotu. Then we have the mask. The heart. Whoop, where are we? The heart. Whoop. And the self. Okay, so now you want me to move you back down here. So this is how it's supposed to be. And then we have this card here, which is the grandmothers. Remember your roots, perspective, trust the weavings. This I feel is supposed to be up here with the self. And then we have these that want to show up as well. And these are a lot.
I love when they leap out of the hands.
That's what they usually do. That's what I mean. They are usually always eager to speak, and that sometimes means that they just fall all over the place. And so I already picked a few here. These are from the Kaha deck, and this is the energy, a balanced energy of the lower forehead, or the lower, what was it again?
Naro?
Yeah, Tanaro.
The third eye?
Tanaro. It's a balanced energy. So what this feels like is that there's going to be, how can I just try to find the right words, but it feels almost as if there's a very, how can I say that? It's like a very gentle and grounded message that is going to come through our vision. That's what I'm kind of getting. And then we have one energy from both energies are from the heart space. One is of the upper and one is of the lower heart, and one is masculine and one is feminine. This is actually the masculine frequency of the Okapi, and this is feminine energy. Oh, no, it's the other way around. This is actually the hair, and this is the forest giraffe, the Okapi. Feminine Okapi, masculine hair. Very interesting, as we also have the elk show up here, and the elk with the black sun here, which is very interesting. At least this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it as a black sun. So there is a emphasis on the feminine aspect of Father Light, which might sound first weird because Father is masculine, but there is like an invitation for us to maybe kind of dissolve these boundaries that we've set there in our perception, where there is something very feminine within the Father Light that we're invited to receive. And I remember that in our reading in December, we had this already come in, where the face of Father was all of a sudden having the mother all over it. I don't know why, but it was like as if it was showing itself to remind us of the mother, maybe, I don't know. But again, there is like this invitation of connecting. This is also probably why the grandmothers are showing up. And it's a very reaffirming message, right? That they're sharing, trust the weavings, trust the weavings, trust the unfoldings, trust that which is taking place, so to say. Very, very beautiful card where you can see the swirl. And this is actually interesting because I saw one of the cards already before. I'm going to pick that out now, because the first card that came out of the new deck is actually the Koro, which is connected to the grandfather. So again, we have the grandmothers, but we have the grandfather show up as well. And the Koro, it shares wisdom of the waters. If we connect to the Koro, the grandfather belly, which is connected to Kopo Nui Motu. Okay, this is now maybe a little bit much information, but as Tamaaki already explained, each motu comes with its set of motukawa with supporting medicines. And in the Kopo Nui, it's the sea elephant and the land elephant. So the land elephant represents the grandmothers, and the sea elephant represents the grandfathers. So what do the grandfathers share? They share wisdom of the waters. So, and it's all about gathering momentum or creating momentum. And it's very, very interesting because I was getting that already when I was looking at this. And this was why I jumped to this card right away, because there is a sacred connection again between masculine and feminine. You know, they are interwoven. They are not separate. They are one, right? And even though this is also what we spoke about in regards to the tapu, right? Even though one is showing up in the physical, the other one is still present in the non-physical. It's felt but not seen, right? And so this is in a way what maybe I was trying to get at with that forest giraffe, okapi energy with the light of father, the face of father. But the face of father is showing up and is pointing towards mother, right? It's almost like the elk is raising its head, looking at the black sun. And in a way, the black sun in that moment is representation of the archetypal feminine goddess energy. Yeah. So we have the Koro. The Koro, what does it want to go? It wants to go here. And then we have the Hine, and the Hine is actually speaking to goddess. So it's interesting. I've already spoken about this. So the Hine is coming over here, Koro Hine, which is interesting. It's like grandfather goddess. Doesn't make sense, but it does if you're thinking things outside of the limitations of duality and gender, where we are invited to receive that masculine also has feminine and vice versa, right? And then we have the energy of the hoi, which speaks to the paddle. So hoi means paddle, or maybe also to paddle. And then we have Mauriamai. Mauriamai is a phrase that we speak to welcome energies into the field, into the space. And then we have Wharenui showing up. Wharenui means meeting house. It also is a physical representation. The longhouse or the meeting house is a physical representation of the womb belly. So it's built, so the longhouse is structured to represent the cosmic womb. So what we can see here is we are welcoming the paddling of the Wharenui. What does that mean? It means that something is entering. That's what I'm getting. It feels like we are paddling into the Wharenui. So we are paddling towards entering cosmic womb space. So we're paddling towards something. And that paddling action, that moving towards something is welcomed. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then we have these ones wanted also to come through very much. I have a deck of cards that are the codes of the Motu and the Motukawa. And these are both Motukawa. This one, Ina Pomu, is a Motukawa of the butterfly, of the transformational energy. It's actually the caterpillar.
That's the cellular death and rebirth of the butterfly I spoke to earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is before the butterfly goes into the or before the pomu goes into the chrysalis, right? And before all of that takes place. So there's something where we are still, it's like with this, we're still paddling, we are still chewing on something, we're still taking in energies, we're still taking in, but also putting out energies. We're still putting in effort. This is what it is. We're still putting in effort in order to prepare for that big transformation. And then Ina Uma speaks to the grounded human, so the medicine of the human. So there's something going on with the human. And this is also what we can see here with the self, right? The self is here and in the position of Toke, which means this energies that want to enter or that are about to enter. And then we are seeing there's sacred threading going on, and the grandmothers show up with the invitation to trust the weaving. So the sacred threading is taking place, which is also, you know, the sacred weaver in that moment, the pomu, right? Because the pomu also creates the chrysalis, it creates the silk, right? So the pomu is actually the sacred weaver of silk, right? It's not the butterfly, it's not the moth, it's the pomu that is that sacred weaver. So there's something going on with that. And we are also invited to have a little bit of caution because the frog is also connected to the tuatara. So the frog medicine, like the card that's underneath here. And there's also something where we are invited to really be aware of what is pouring down on us. So which energies are actually entering our field uninvited? Because there's still a lot of stuff going on, right? There's a lot that we are getting bombarded with. And this is something that we need to be aware of in order to move these energies and transform them. It's almost as if the koro is the grandfather is showing up and reminding us, like, be careful, be aware, sharpen your awareness, be aware of what is entering your field, what is going on within your system. This is also already pointing towards that dragon ride energy, right?
I was just thinking of the hummingbird at the 0.
Yeah.
Because all of the stuff that's coming in from the unseen and all of the messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll be aware of that because it's not everything is light. So it can be something where it's a distortion, and if we don't have the awareness and the discernment to recognize that it's a distortion, we're just still seeing it as light.
Yeah, and I mean, distortion is also nothing that we should judge too much.
Yes.
It's just something that is it is happening because people are either unaware or we are unaware. You know, we all hold distortions, right? And we all create distortions still because of lack of awareness, lack of experience, lack of knowledge. And that's nothing bad. It's nothing that we should be ashamed of or afraid of. It's just something where we are invited to discern it without judgment, just observe it and then move it. And this is what I feel the koro is showing up. And, you know, there's a different code that's very close to the koro, which is the koru, right? And the koru speaks to the spiral. So koro and koru are very, they are in a way light years apart, but then also very much there, because always when I say koro, the koru comes in as well. So there is a sacred action that the grandfathers do with the movement of that spiral. So there is invitation of us to be aware of the things that enter and then move them. Doesn't matter if they're undistorted or distorted, but just bring them into that spiral so that the energies can flow, and that they can flow where they are supposed to flow, and that nothing kind of gets stuck. And, you know, there is a lot of unseen stuff. The unseen has made itself now aware a few times. And in a way, we are invited, if we are looking at how I've placed the cards unconsciously, Mauri Mai, we are invited to welcome these unseen energies in, and in a way pedal them in. And so the pedal is a tool that we use to move water, right? Like we move water with the pedal. So in a way, this is what we do. So water weaving is actually something that might be invited for this tapu energy specifically. For anyone who's familiar with what I mean with that, maybe there's an invitation for you to go and do a water weaving ceremony. And so we are invited to move these energies into the Wharenui, and then we have the heart right there next to the Wharenui, to the meeting house. So there's an energy that wants to expand in our heart space, and it is probably connected to that cosmic womb. And right underneath, we have the energy of the cosmic egg showing up. So that in a way confirms that there is a potentiality within the cosmic that wants to be remembered, that wants to be sparked. And then we also have the firefly showing up, which is related to the pomu, which is related to the butterfly. But of course, the firefly in this case shows up in a very particular manner because it is capable of creating light. It's, you know, physically, it creates light, and it shines light on its own. And so it feels as if this firefly is coming into that unseen cosmic space, and the firefly is coming in and sharing that sacred intention of light, of first light, into that ancient space. And another thing that's also very interesting here, the mask. So the energy of the mask is sitting right next to the ina uma, so the human. So what we can experience as well with these dragon ride energies, we have a lot of rainbow colors showing up here, right? Which means there's going to be a lot of movement in the kaha. There's going to be like a lot happening in our energetic system. And we are invited to remember the pomu, so the threading. And if we remember that and we just say, okay, I'm going to chew on it. I'm just going to take it in. I'm going to digest it, and I'm going to transform it into the most potent silk that is going to cover me. And I'm going to create this beautiful chrysalis with all of this yummy food that you're presenting to me. Is it distorted or not? I don't care. I'm going to chew on it. You know, just being that stubborn. Have you ever like seen what's the word again? A caterpillar just chewing there. It's almost like a little insect cow, just like munching all day long, right? So just be that, and be even that stubborn. I don't know why that is coming in, but there's like a stubbornness where they're just going to do it. Because on the human side, there's going to be possible triggers, possible moments where you're going to feel uncomfortable, maybe because your masks, or like certain layers of your identity, are being challenged in the field, where you might be invited to just let it go. And maybe you have a hard time doing so, because the mask is always showing up as something that wants to be released, you know, because the mask is not the self, right? The mask is a creation of self, and the mask only serves as much, you know, everything only serves as much, right? Because everything can become sour, right? It's like with food. If you leave it out for too long, it just sours. It, you know, everything can go bad. So this is where we are really where we are really invited to see, okay, why am I still identifying with this, or why am I still identifying with that, right? And where we are invited to let go of certain things, and maybe in the way of how we are communicating about things, we can make shifts happen. This was something that another Huna really inspired me to think of, like the way of how we speak. So earlier I was saying, like, Muto would always say, don't be so hard on yourself, right? So whenever I think of that, I should think about that in past tense and not present, right? Because that's not how I am. That's not who I am now, you know? So also working with that and allowing yourself to change and to create the version of you that you really want to be. It's up to you. It's up to us. And this is almost where that stubbornness is needed. You need to be stubborn on this. You cannot let go of that, you know? You shouldn't let go of you wanting to become the best version of you that you can, right? And you shouldn't let go of trying to, or expanding your potentialities, or showing up in your potentialities and really growing into that and maturing into that. Because poem is also, it's a premature state, isn't it? But still it holds a lot of power. So what does this tell us? It tells us, okay, humanity is on the move, because we are moving, and that move is welcome, but we are still premature. And so we need to be aware of that as well, because we have not yet transformed. We have not yet fully made that transformation that we actually came here to do. And it's interesting because, you know, right across from the self, we have the crone showing up, and in its claws it holds a coin which has the 6-pointed star on it, which we call the Maita, and it already showed up here. So there is also that invitation for us to remember who we truly are, and to remember that this is what we are, that we are sacred star beings, and that we are so much more than we right now think that we are. So also being humble is what I'm getting, because we are all still premature. We're not, you know, we're never done. We're never going to be fully done. So there comes humility with that, right? And yeah, maybe we've already burned our masks, right? But maybe we have not detected that there's still one leaning in that corner of the room over there. And we've just not been aware of it because we have just not looked into that corner. But there's still that mask, or that layer of identity that we hold on to, that we still are not able to let go. You know, these can be, masks are not just, I don't know, behaviors, or I don't know, they can be so many different things. They can show up in so many different ways, right? But yeah, for some reason, I feel we are invited to really think about what and why we identify with certain things, and maybe to release that aspect of why do we think that we need to identify? What is identity in the first place? I don't know. There's something there, and it's a connection to self, where we are invited to expand that into something bigger. And I also feel like the cosmic egg in this moment, it's showing up almost like as this energy that wants to come into the physical. It's as if, you know, we are invited to create that beautiful chrysalis for ourselves, you know, and to really enter that sacred space, you know, because the egg, of course, is a representation of the sacred cosmic womb itself, right? And the chrysalis in a way as well, because it's a different form of womb space. And here, the medicine of the butterfly is revealing to us how we can create that space for ourselves. That's just coming to me right now. They share how we can create that space for ourselves. So they are a being that come out of a little bit of a small egg, because, you know, the poem, they also hedge from somewhere. And then they munch, and then they indulge in life just to create another womb space to be born again. There's no other being that does that, right? Or is there another being that does that in nature? I don't know. I can't think of it.
I can't think of any either.
So, but they create this sacred womb space. And there is something with this where an energy of that is entering into our awareness, into our heart space. And we are invited to embrace that. That's what I'm feeling. Because it, of course, holds huge potential for us, right? What does that mean? I mean, it can mean so many things. It can mean, first, Huna Ina. It can mean everything, everywhere, everyone, for every time, for everyone. That includes everything that is. And maybe the question that everybody has to ask themselves is, what can it mean, or what does it mean for me personally? Or how can I create that? Or maybe how is this going to lead me? How is this going to guide me? Maybe this is not even something that we are invited to create just now. Maybe this is something that's going to now enter the space, and then it's going to happen for each of us in our very individual way. But it makes sense with, you know, thinking about the essence of peace, that because the sacred cosmic womb is home, right? It's where we all come from. And it's probably a place that we all associate with peace and quiet, and just being at peace and being completely safe, kept safe, held safe, nurtured, you know, being fully in abundance, because you're just looked after. And so there's something with that, that is entering into our wairua. Yeah, there's something with that that's entering into our wairua, into our memory. And we are remembering, maybe this is a first step of remembering how to expand that energy and maintain that energy. So it makes a lot of sense that my first feeling was, oh, I'm just seeing 1 hour and 44 minutes. That I felt there's something new entering.
You know, my human experience recently that I'm noticing is I can feel it on my skin. Whatever this is, whatever this new thing is, because over the next 2 months, I get to see where I physically end up next, because the turtle has been called to move. And where is that, and how do I get there? That's still a surprise to me.
Yeah.
And even in that, and in the human experience of the feelings that come of the change, and it can be quite a big change, I'm still in that feeling of, yeah, there's excitement. If it's anything like the last time that I did this, I'm going to be right on the other side of it, like, wow, this is crazy. What the F just happened? Because the last time I did this, I left the States and I was in Turkey with you and Matatu and Mauta at the seat of Satan in Bergama in Turkey, and going on this journey and being outside of my home country for, it was like a year and a half total with all of the traveling that we did. And so if it's anything like that, where spirit said, sell your car, don't stay in your apartment, like, give up your apartment, and there was all of the indications that told me I wouldn't wanna stay there anyway, like, "Okay, spirit, okay, I got the memo, let's do this," and I've been living out of my bag since then. still to this
Yeah.
day. And if it's anything like that, like this, something big is about to happen, at least in my
Yeah.
life. And I could see that happening for everybody. It's not
And
just for
it's
me.
no, and it's interesting that you're saying that, because for me, when I get these hits, so to say,
Mhm.
or when I get a feeling, and I got this already over the last weeks, as I've said, I was kind of tuning out of August because I was already tuned into August halfway in July. So I was already, and this is how I am. And we've talked about this. I'm sometimes moving through stuff ahead of schedule. I'm
Mhm.
usually a little bit ahead of stuff. This is just how I operate. And, with my medicine, it makes absolute sense. With my essence, that's where I'm supposed to be, because I'm in a way a path maker. And my medicine needs to be there in order for the path to be presented. And it's interesting because for me, it's already been for quite a while now that I now feel the wairu, and I feel these things in my bones. And there's like, it
Mhm.
feels as if there's a resonance coming in. And it's just a feeling. And I get it that, for you maybe describe it to be at the skin, and it's on the skin as well. But for me, it's like,
Mhm.
I feel like it just shakes my whole being, and
Yeah.
it reaches the density of my bones. And
Yeah.
this was already something that I felt with the dove, because I was working with the medicine, and I'm like, okay, there's something going on, and something's shifting, and I don't know why, but something new is happening now. And then I
Mhm.
was thinking about, interesting, it's not the beginning of the light year, but that doesn't matter. New stuff enters each moment, each now is the right moment for new things to enter, right? And so, and one thing that we also haven't touched on, another very prominent moment in the Namu motto, is the 15th of September.
Oh, yeah.
So
Mm.
halfway point of that month is extremely potent, because Mauta would always call it the solar flash event. And he
Mm.
would say that this is actually Jesus's true birthday.
Yes.
And that Jesus's true birth sign is the Namu.
The dove.
And
Yeah.
in the last 2 years, in this moment, we would gather at a tree to celebrate, and to celebrate Xmas, or X times Xmas. No, how would you say that?
I don't know.
There's a specific way of how he
Yeah.
would say it.
Yeah.
It doesn't come to me right now, but
Yeah.
this is how we would celebrate. And 2 years ago, we had this beautiful retreat, the Solar Flash retreat.
Yeah, in Cozumel.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we gifted the tree with the symbol of the planet of Matea. And so, for everyone who feels resonance with that, I would invite you to find a beautiful grandmother or grandfather tree and just be with it on that day. Yeah, usually I would love to host this so-called event, but this year it's just not possible. I don't know, maybe next year I can pull it off, but this year it's definitely not happening. But I'm gonna be at a very special tree for me, where I've already been last year, where I've created that grid, right? And so I'm gonna be at that tree on the 15th of September, and Mauta would call it the Solar Flash event. So there's something happening, and it's interesting that we also have the Black Sun coming up. So there's something happening with that as well. And it's good that I remembered that. So September is really a very potent month again, in terms of the events that are taking place. So, and also Namu Motu is connected to the solar kaha, right? To the
Mm.
tawahi.
Uh,
So,
Namu Namu is the
oh
sacral.
no,
It's
it's
a little bit
sacral.
lower, yes.
I don't know why, but I always think about it being connected to the tawahi. but maybe it's because it's flying into the sun. There's something with that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's flying towards the sun. And it would make sense that it's bringing something into that energy of the self. And we have the self showing up here, so there's something with that central sun. There's something with that central sun.
Speaking of flying into the sun, one of the medicines of the dove is the eagle, the ikara.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The bird that flies very, very, very high.
Yeah.
Now, last night in the dream time, that's what I'm trying to get at. You were there with me, and I look up at the sky and I go, there's 4 ikara, there's 4 eagles, bald eagles. And you could see the whites of their heads. And then they landed. So we're on like a little deck, and there's like one perched here. There was a juvenile coming up the steps next to me. I'm like, and it was a large juvenile, not like freshly hedged, but it was a fairly large, like not fully grown adult. It still had the colored feathers
premature.
in the head. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was premature adult. And I remember moving off to the side to let this junior eagle come up the steps, because I'm like, you have talons and a beak. Or is something going to happen here that because I'm in your way? There were 9 eagles that had landed. Now, what I didn't realize until the middle of this broadcast is the Gregorian number of September is 9.
Yeah.
And I didn't tap into it any deeper to see is what kind of message is coming from that, because I have not had a dream of eagle like that. I don't recall any dreams of eagles from before, and this was the first time that it happened last night. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
How
very
interesting.
strange.
So
Yeah.
there's something definitely going on with that. And then yeah. So there's something, I feel there's something happening maybe with the solar, the central sun as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, interesting. So there's a lot, of course, there's always a lot. And don't forget about the tuatara. The tuatara, the big smile showing up and saying, hey, I'm here.
I also had dream of the crocodile before the eagle. There were cookies. There were 3 cookies. I'm like, I want to have a cookie. And there was a doorway to another room. It was like a big gymnasium. Go grab a cookie, and crocodile comes through. I'm like, oh, I got to throw the cookie down because there's a crocodile. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. And the crocodile stopped, like, it's all good, bro. I want you to enjoy your cookie. I'm just here to hang out. I want to be your friend.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Interesting. And for me, I had a very interesting dream. I already dreamt about the family that I'm going to visit in the end of Namu. But I traveled to a different land, and their whole family was there. And it felt almost as if I was, in a way, in the Motu lands, if that makes sense, like in the energetic continental beings. And I was traveling in a totally different land than Norway. It was not Norway at all. It was more like a desert land. I think it was somewhere, it might even have been on Tuatara land, because it was not the Fatura. It was not the Fatura. It was more to the west.
Yep.
And isn't the Tuatara more to the west?
It is the border. If we call it a border, it's the Nile. So west of the Nile is Tuatara. And that's funny enough. The Fayum is on that side, and the Fayum is where I'm going to try to pronounce this, Crocodilopolis. That is the central place of respect and worship to Sobek, the crocodile god. It's on the west side of the Nile.
And I was traveling on my takipiki, so on my bike. And I was covering large distances to actually reach them and their family. And then I woke up and I was like puzzled the whole day about, okay, why was I in these strange lands? And then they were there, but their whole extended family as well. And I came in to visit them, and then I was traveling back to go somewhere else. It really felt as if I was on a mission, and it was really interesting dream. And I was like, okay, I'm really tapping into these energies already. So yeah, it will be interesting.
Yes, it will.
A lot is, it feels there's a lot happening at once, but still I feel like this energy that I was already feeling this August, like this sense of calm and peace being there. Really like being the eye of the storm and just being there. And all the other stuff that's happening, like with all of the noise, all of the noise, all of this sour rain coming in, because sometimes I'm looking at this card and I'm just seeing, or I'm just thinking sour rain. I don't know why, but something toxic. Mm-hmm. And all of that is just not affecting us, like really entering this safe haven where you don't need to worry. You don't need to worry at all. And the Tuatara, just as I'm looking at the reading right now, it's like holding that. It's, for some reason, I don't know where it's sitting in the geometries, but for some reason it's like more at the, I feel it's like almost like holding it from underneath.
I think, let me just look at my notes really quick. So for the first one, for the mother of all changes, Tuatara is up there with the butterfly.
Okay.
It's at the top. Yeah, it's still kind of a prominent thing. And then Tuatara on the tapu is here with the butterfly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
So, but it's very much paired with the energies that we were speaking about a lot, right? We were speaking a lot about the hummingbird during the geometries, and now probably the most about the butterfly in this reading. So the Tuatara is pairing with those. Very interesting.
Yep.
I get maybe this underline, like maybe this holding from underneath is because it's doing its cheeky thing and being kind of like in the unseen realm and like doing its double agent move.
Yes.
Of saying like, I'm playing over here, even though like you might think I'm distorted but I'm actually not. Mm-hmm. Like this double agent move that it sometimes does.
Yeah.
With the fox and the jackal being there as well, being really like kind of like a trickster. Yep. And it's interesting because the mask, of course, comes and play there. And in that moment, it's a very powerful move, right? Where the true face can all of a sudden serve as a mask, as like a disguise. So there's something there as well where we are invited to really work with this in a conscious way. Where it's not really about pulling a mask over your face so that you hide, but it's more about pulling a face so that you might reveal something, not necessarily about yourself, but about the other. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why, but a mask of truth is like a mask of the true face. But of course, that's not a mask, but working with the energy of the true face very consciously, where you very much are aware of when you are showing up in what way and when you are revealing what face, because it's a very powerful communicative tool, right?
Yeah.
But I really feel we're not supposed to lie. We're not supposed to be unjust or untrue. We are not supposed to show a face that's fake. But we still have multiple faces, right, that are very much true, because we are not just one thing, right? We have different layers to our beingness, right? And all of these layers are true. So it's really not so much about, it's more about detecting the weak threads. Like if you have a weaving, right? And you maybe have a weaving of different materials, different fibers, and this weaving is getting old. There are some fibers that are gonna last longer than others. So pulling out the threads that are no longer solid, that are no longer holding. So you're just pulling them out, and maybe you're going to replace them with a new thread that is going to then maintain the structure of the old. And so you're pulling out old, and you're bringing in new, and it's old and new at the same time. But kind of like, at one hand, the last thread of the so-called old is going to be taken out, and the newest is going to be brought in. But then already the first thread of the newest is going to be very old. I don't know if you're getting what I'm trying to say, but this is in a way what is taking place with our versions of ourselves as well. If we would look at the versions that we have of ourselves, and that are upholding the weaving of our identity, some of them are outdated. And so taking those out and bringing in new, or maybe just leaving it open, so creating more transparency. Maybe we don't even need as many threads to actually uphold the structure of our identity, of our true beingness. Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay. But, and, looking at this, or also, trusting the threading, that's also what came from the grandmothers. And yeah, there's so many dimensions to this. So I could go on for hours, but I'm going to stop now. I think this was it was enough information.
Yes. It's beautiful. Well, I think we are now at the conclusion of our sharing this time.
Yes. Again, such a thank you for everyone who's watching this. I'm looking forward to seeing all your comments, and I would love to hear what you guys are feeling and thinking with all of this. And yes, another reminder, get yourself a beautiful Lemurian birth chart and book yourself that course. I think it's going to be incredible. And also for everyone who's interested in being part of that weaving circle for the Namu, probably by the time that this is airing, I'm probably having already the information out there on my social medias. And also you can find that on my website, which you can see down here, www.flc.earth, and there you can book your slot for the weaving circle. One thing that's very important, I host these weaving circles one time in German and one time in English. Unfortunately, the structure of my website does not allow me to title the time slots. The first time slot is the time slot for the German circle, and the later, so the second time slot is the time slot for the English circle. Be very much aware of that when you do your booking. It's also all written out on my in the description of my product there. I would love to have you there. It's always a very fun hour and a half that we spend together. It's a beautiful opportunity to just share space with one another, to get to know other people. And yeah, that's it.
And I'll be there. I was there last time.
Yes. It would be, so great to have you there. And again, looking forward to all of your comments. Thank you again for watching this.
Yes.
And being with us, and looking forward to what you have to share with all of this. That's exciting. Thank you, Tamaki, for
Thank
everything.
you, Kasi, for you and everything you do.
Yes. Wawa nui,
Wawa!
everyone.